Hello and welcome to the In the Money Media Network, In the Money Players podcast, In the Money Media channel over on YouTube. We invite you to subscribe in all those places to help us out and make sure you don't miss any of our content that's coming up ahead of the Breeders' Cup. We're here today to talk about a couple things. The semifinals of the In the Money Horseplayers Tour, they're going on, but don't worry if you're not in it. We've still got a really cool opportunity for you over at horseplayers.com. On this Friday, there is another direct qualifier to the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge where the house cut is going to go to charity, specifically Thoroughbred Aftercare, the TAA, Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, and our friends at Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. We had game went up late last week. Sorry for that. A little bit of communication issues over internally, but the game got up and you guys supported it. So we're going to run it right back this week. Great chance to basically bake in a donation and get a chance to win your $10,000 BCBC seat. Meanwhile, in the playoffs, just want to shout out the 34 players who advanced to our semifinals. I'm just going to run through them real quick. William Smith, John Bush, Noah Meager, Robert Weir, who has more than one entry, James Millar from the In the Money team, Dylan Donnelly, one of the more successful contest players out there. Great to see him supporting us. Gary Wright, regular like Robin Busser in there. Michael Cavanna, he's been at final tables before. He's going to try to do it again. He's got multiple entries. Rick Broth. We've got Michael Sussman in there as well as we continue on down the list here to Brett Weiner, Matt Miller, who actually has all three of his entries advancing to the semifinals, Theodore Bizel, Daniel Edwards, Dave Nichols, Fabian Sultan, John Gasper. Probably been enjoying his excellent tournament podcasts on the network. If not, check them out. Stefan Gravina is here. Chris Couples, big part of our In the Money Inner Circle broadcast. Rick Broth, again. Jim Tragos, speaking of the Inner Circle broadcast, we've got him on there. Peter Rogers, Michael Odoricio, Mikey P, Mike Probozzi has his name down there. David Browning, Michael Cavanna again, Togo Travaglia. Always appreciate communicating with him about racing, one of these players who's been with us from the absolute beginning here. David Brownfield again, Jerry Weselick, the other two Matt Miller entries, Bob Weir again, and then two from Gregory Lewis to round out that top 34. Those 34 will be competing on this slate of races. It'll be announced soon over on horseplayers.com. And then the top 10 are going to advance to the final table next week. That's where they'll play for a BCBC seat. If you missed out on the regular season of the In the Money Horseplayers Tour this year, stay tuned because I have a feeling we'll be running it back next year. I love this, doing it on Fridays. I think we'll probably keep something similar, but who knows? Those are decisions to be made another day. But if you keep tuned to these In the Money Media Players Podcast YouTube channel, our free newsletter, inthemoneypodcast.com/email. We'll make sure to get you all the details as we run it back. So, not exactly sure of the lineup yet as we record early in the week, but we know it's Keeneland on Friday, and we're going to take a look on this show at the last 5 races at Keeneland for Friday. And to do that with me, we now bring in a man who's been on so many of these In the Money shows this year and every year since we launched now, if you can believe it, 6 years ago. Show's been around for 11 years in total. Was revisiting that when I got all the Alcibiades cracks at me last weekend. Realized that was a decade ago at this point, and they still won't let me live it down, JK. We bring him in now, though. Jonathan Kinship, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, it was a highlight of the In the Money Media Network, that's for sure. Sometimes I struggle to even say it now because I've thought it so many times in my head that I don't know which one's actually real.
Well, we'll be looking back with you at the Alcibiades and many other races when it comes to Breeders' Cup prep action. We didn't plan this, but last 2 weeks we've had all these final preps domestically for the Breeders' Cup. Is there one effort by any horse in particular that stood out to you as something that's changed your view? You know, we've got our bold predictions video up there, so maybe focus on the races from this past weekend instead. Was there anybody who knocked your socks off over there in Italy?
Yeah, I thought that the winner of the Champagne was
Napoleon
impressive.
Solo.
Yeah. I have a hard time rooting for that owner because he was mean to me on Twitter one time. But
be the bigger man, JK.
No, not for him. But I thought the horse was impressive though. And especially, you know, in the high regard that I hold Tom Amos's horse, It's Our Time, who the Gold Square horse, you know, really got after. Outside of that, I was pretty impressed. I tell you what though, I don't like the Eastern time zone when it comes to sports. I'm a Central time zone man myself. This is the worst time zone for American sports.
You're staying up way past midnight to watch some of these West Coast races anyway.
The worst. It's the worst. I'm drawing a blank now on the winner of the Keeneland turf race, Will Walden's horse, the New York
Rhetorical.
It pays to be a New York bred. Shout out Naj Thompson, who we had on JK +1 last week. I think I posted that. I'm telling you, I have no idea where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what time it is. I don't know anything. I think I posted that. Let's see. Yes, Naja Thompson. Shout out.
Yeah, big weekend with that one, and then they had another giant winner as well. So New York Breds having a good weekend, potential Breeders' Cup participation from them. We like to see that. Yeah, Napoleon Solo definitely going to be one who can certainly at least give Ted Nafi a race. If you had to choose between those two, don't think about it. Just choose between those two for the juvenile. Have you already tipped your hand that it would be Napoleon Solo?
No. Ted.
Okay. You're a Ted man.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have videos, 14 videos for each of these Breeders' Cup races coming down the pike. First one might drop even in the next couple of days, but keep it locked for those. Always annually popular. We did get a couple of comments, JK, suggesting that you should be drinking wine for every show that you do. Do you have a bottle open right now?
Oh, what? Did I do good?
Yep. They loved it. The people loved it.
Oh yeah,
you were running around the backyard there on the estate.
It was good.
You were loose and lively, brother.
I was trying my hardest. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, this time zone is tough. I like, you know, the football, the 9:30 a.m. Eastern football games.
So that's perfect for
at least a little normalizing for me. There's a game that comes on at 3:30, but like when the noon games start at 6, and then the second game starts at 10:25, it's very disorienting.
Let alone,
I watched Torpedo Anna at 11:45 the other night. That was wild.
Waiting to see what Kenny McPeak decides to do with her. Certainly that result through the Distaff picture into disarray. You know, he'll do right by her. What's your gut? I mean, she did bounce back last year from a weird looking race in the Breeders' Cup. Feels like that might be a bridge too far, is my gut this year. But would you give her any count if she turns up?
Yeah, I mean, if you without looking at it in front of me, but I believe 3 of her last 4 races have been a little disappointing, right? I mean, I know she won the race, the personal instant, but like she was all out to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was I thought the other horse stepped up more. The Dorth Vader stepped up more than she disappointed that day. But obviously, the Churchill, the Derby race, the Derby weekend race, and this last one, you know, make it seem like
So we'll go 2 of her last 4 were unimpressive. 1 was neutral and 1 was good. So she's not. That's, you know. But look, I've said it long and I'll say it again. You know, she's a cool horse. She's given us some great memories and all that stuff, but she's a horse that I'll continue to love to bet against. So I hope she runs.
Love to bet against. That's an interesting combination there. Just make sure you don't get your buddy Kenny calling you Debbie Downer like you did Nick. That's one of my favorite Twitter actions in the history of horse racing Twitter. And as I've told Nick many times, if the shoe fits.
Yeah, Nick is you know, we talk about all the time how people's Twitter personalities don't match their real life personalities. Nick's not one of those people. Nick's pleasant, I think, in both arenas. He's just got a strong opinion. But there are some people that are like unpleasant in real life. They're just much more unpleasant on Twitter.
He's not one of those.
No, he's not one of those. And
he's not one of those.
If the shoe, like you said, if the shoe fits, that's my favorite thing to do. My favorite thing to do. Golly, is this the end of the year airing of the grievances? My favorite thing to do on Twitter is say things that don't address the person I'm talking about, but it's so obvious, and then they get mad about it.
Subtweeting, we used to call that, right? Subtweeting.
Yeah, that's fun.
So because the Distaff came up, unplanned, we weren't going to do any recapping really, but I'm so happy to be down this rabbit hole with you. We talked about our friends at Spendthrift before a little bit. I wonder if the Torpedo situation combined with Tamara making a successful, impressive return to the races might have them thinking Tamara, Filly and Mare Sprint, Copian, Distaff. Have you given this matter any thought?
I mean, I think I saw somewhere that they were looking Tamara Sprint, but I haven't seen. When
You're not
looking
going
at
to
the
run
Breeders'
against each other, are you?
Cup, well, looking at the Breeders' Cup website, the Distaff has no mention of either.
Gotcha. Well, Tamara wouldn't make
Which
sense for the Distaff.
they stay on top.
Yeah, that's a good source. It's a good source to see. Anyway, just a thought experiment there. We're getting a little laggy maybe with the international nature of the call, but I think we're good. I think I'm ready, unless you have anything else on Breeders' Cup preps or any nonsense you want to throw in there to dive into these Keeneland Friday races. What do you think?
Yeah, let's hit it. Let me close some windows to make sure we stay clean here.
I like that. I'll do a quick plug while you get organized. Just a plug for more content we've got coming down the pike. Unscheduled, we're going to do a show Friday covering the carryovers. Speaking of Nick, he and I will be together to guide you through the carryovers in the coast to coast bet between Gulfstream and Santa on Friday, and also the Sunset 6, which has a carryover on Friday. I think we're going to stream that live, and it'll also be archived on our YouTube channel. But check out Santa Anita social media, Gulfstream social media, our social media. That should be getting out there in the world. So we got a lot of coverage for this Friday. Not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's quite possible some of those races, especially the Gulfstream ones, will also be part of this In the Money Horseplayer Tour semifinal / second qualifier direct to the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. But some other races that we hope will be involved. We'll look at this late pick 5 at Keeneland. Kicks off with race number 6. We're going 6.5 for these 2-year-old fillies. How do you want to light this candle, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty spready in here. I felt like I wanted to have a ton. You know, I won't talk about all of them. I will say this about the 4 Justice Edition. You know, you get Irad, you get Brad Cox. This horse is going to be very overbet, and to me, doesn't necessarily have to win. Right? It's been working at Ellis. It's a Jimmy Creed. It was a $50,000 purchase. You know, they're going to bet this horse. You know, it's a restricted race. They're going to bet this horse. And to me, the horse doesn't have to win. I want to have the 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. The 11, I'll talk about Endless Gray for Kevin Rice. You know, I think when you see these Rices that aren't Linda, when they have these 2-year-olds, I think they've both have done really well finding 2-year-olds, getting them ready to run, and then selling them. This horse was bet at Churchill Downs first time out, broke a little bit slow. It feels like the second time around, Endless Glory could run better. So I want to focus on the 11. I also want to focus on the 7, Camila Catalina, another one who ran well in a $150,000 maiden. When you run a $150,000 maiden, especially for a horse that they paid $40,000 for, that feels very protected. Feels maiden special weight like. I thought the horse ran well there, ran well in the race after that as well. So I'm going to spread in here like crazy. I've got some skinnier opinions along the way. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. If I'm being honest with you, this is not a sequence in which I play the pick 5 because I don't have a strong opinion in the first leg. I'm spreading in the first leg. I would just take the pick 4 and just try to hit it for more times rather than hoping something good happens in this first leg. Unless, of course, they're going crazy betting the Brad Cox horse, and then there is an opportunity, I think, to pick up some equity in the first leg.
Betting against in that scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah, for contest purposes, I was thinking nickel and dime, the 6 was the one I wanted the most. This horse ran inefficiently, I'd say. A bit of a flow move up coming out of that first race at Remington, only beaten a neck. And I just thought has a chance to maybe shake loose in this field for Diodoro, whose barn has been doing really well. Hasn't had any runners at Keeneland yet that I know of, but the barn generally cycling up seemed interesting. The 4 and the 11 looked like logical backups if you were going to be playing horizontals in the race. Let's move to the first race of the pick 4 that JK was just referencing. It is race number 7, where we've got an allowance race, first level allowance race, going 1 mile and 3/16 on the turf. I liked Cha-Cha Chuka a little bit in this spot. Couldn't quite get up the hill at Kentucky Downs, going the mile and 5/16, but looked like one that could do better here. Shorter, more traditional oval, has tactical speed, but doesn't need the lead. I like that. Of course, we've talked about a lot on shows in the past, JK. Via Aranya, this one back in action after a long break. I was worried about trusting in contests for a horse that seems sure to catch money, but absolute must use for me in the horizontals. 4 and 2 were the numbers I was focused on. Who do you like?
Yeah, I'm going to use the 11 fleetingly as an A. I'll use the 6 and the 8 as Bs. And then my key A in here, the one that I like the most, is the 2 Vina Arana. The thing I like about her is well, for one, I remember Jack was pretty high on her the day that she won. So there was always that mental note. But it's also the 2 races that she didn't run in, but she was entered in, right? Jack Sisterson entered this horse in the Sand Springs at Gulfstream Park earlier this year. Also entered her this spring in the Ginny Wiley, the grade 1 Ginny Wiley. You know, Jack is not just in the business of entering horses to enter them. At some point, even if it was an outside shot, even if it was let's put her in there, see who enters, and we'll run third with her. The idea that she was entered in the Ginny Wiley, the grade 1 Ginny Wiley, says what he thinks about her. She gets some class relief off a break. I'm going to build everything kind of around her, but I wanted to make sure I had the 11 fleetingly as well. So 2 11 as A's, 6 and 8 as B's.
We go back to 2-year-olds in race number 8. It's the Colts this time, and they're going 1 mile and 1/16. JK, we'll keep it with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is not a hunch play, I can assure you, even though I have done my fair share. Don't go to dinner with me anymore. I've been to a couple wine tastings over here. I'm going to be insufferable with a wine list in front of me. I've been telling my in-laws and my brothers-in-laws that. Well, so first of all, Pete, you'll love this. Joey was trying to be funny one night, and he showed me this move that was hilarious. It's definitely like very annoying. But you get a bottle of wine, they come over and want someone to taste it.
Yeah,
just to make sure it's all good.
Yeah.
Joey went, smelled it and said, "That's good."
It wasn't corked anyway. I like that though. I like that.
Just the pompousness of that move.
It's beautiful.
I'll do it somewhere. Maybe at like if I order a bottle of wine from Applebee's or something. Let's see.
This is all a long way of saying you like Vino Vici, isn't it?
Vino Vici, I will definitely use. My numbers are a little bit off. So the 11. Yeah. Vino Vici, I'll definitely use for Todd. The horse ran well enough first time out, didn't take a ton of money, ran well enough second time out. The experience whole situation, drawn well, a Vino Rosso. It just feels like one that's going to appreciate a little bit of added distance. I wanted to have that one. The 8 Further Ado was another one who same story, really. One that looks to have a little bit of talent, probably going to appreciate a little bit of added ground. To me, one of those 2 shows up here and lives up to some of their previous races now that they get to go a little bit of further of a distance, especially when you're dealing with a gun runner and a Vino Rosso. The other one I'll use as a B horse is the 7 Beale Street Boy. One that I just thought was running on late, caught a muddy track last time, so maybe getting onto a drier surface will help that one out. Third time going a route of ground, one that I wanted to have, putting the blinkers on. So 8, 11 is A, 7 as a B.
We're similar in here. I had your 8 and your 11, both as A's, each of them having what I would call the classic Keeneland fall winner look. 2 sprints to a route with the right kind of pedigrees for top barns. I don't need to belabor the point. I want the 8 and the 11 on tickets. I put Brave Force as my top pick in here off a sneaky, maybe out to lunch angle, but sometimes these softer angles mean you can get prices. I'm guessing what happened here is they have a very talented horse and they could not resist the big bucks at Kentucky Downs. The way this horse was bet there just suggests one that has talent, but digging into this pedigree a little bit, maybe just better on dirt. Kin to a dirt stakes winner in Sole Volante by Gun Runner. I was willing to give this one another chance to maybe upset the apple cart. Not going to get beat by the 8 or the 11, but I wanted some ones in there as well in this 8th race at Keeneland on Friday as we pivot to some stakes action in the Grade 2 Sycamore, traditional late Keeneland 1.5 miles for these elders type of a race. I really liked Ohana Honor in here. Ran a 98 over this course and distance. Went wrong in this race last year, but I'm not going to hold that against the horse as it preceded a layoff. Grade 1 placed at this point, and I feel like the Kentucky Downs run should have this one set up nice to run a big one over what I'm guessing is the favorite course and distance for Ohana Honor. The 9 Golden Eye, another with impressive course and distance success. I was going to key mainly on the 10, but I wanted to give a shout to the 9 as well. How do you see the feature?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2, 8, 9, and 10. You talked about the 10 Ohana Honor. I'll focus more on the 9 Golden Eye. I think last time was probably just a little bit too far, right? I mean, over 1.5 miles? Was that over 2 miles, right?
Yeah, it was a 2-mile race, wasn't it?
Yeah. 2 miles. That's just probably further than this horse wants to go. Showed some speed in there, but if you look at the race 2 and 3 back, you use those races as the measuring stick for how you project that Golden Eye will run here. This horse is right there in the mix, right? Horses have run well out of those spots. 4 winners out of those 2 races goes a long way for me. I'll use 2, 8, 9, and 10. The 9 will kind of be my key situation.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on Golden Eye being an interesting runner in that spot as well. We close out Keeneland's Friday card with a starter allowance for fillies and mares 3 and up. We're going 6.5 on the dirt. I'm imagining this will be one of these races in the contest that we'll be running over at horseplayers.com. I'm not sure if I plugged the website enough. Horseplayers.com, the place to sign up for that qualifier we have on Friday. But when it comes to, in your case, it sounds like the late pick 4 at Keeneland on Friday. How are we going to get paid?
And I think, I don't have it in front of me, but I think also it's probably appropriate for us to shout out Jim Goodman. Because the fall contest is Saturday.
Absolutely.
So there's always one on Friday too. I think you have to be on track. Just look it up.
Keeneland.com, go to the tournaments. Yeah. If you have any questions, reach out to Jim Goodman directly. You can also reach out to me. I'm happy to put you in touch. InTheMoneyPodcast.com, the contact button goes right to my personal email.
Yep. 1, 3, 4 are all I need here. I've said this before. I'll say it often. I think that starter allowance races to me become the most, or some of the most formful races, because a lot of these horses qualify for these conditions, but they aren't the same horses as they, now that they were when they qualified, and they find themselves in these starter races, and they can just, sometimes you can find a big edge. Atara for me on the inside switches to Linda. Linda, I mean, there's who's sharper than her at this point when it comes to claiming horses, keeping them in form, improving them, trying something different with them, taking chances, spotting them correctly. This horse ran really well last time for Will Walden. Got a little bit of pace to close into, but I thought ran well enough that I wanted to make sure I had, and the 6.5 should play well. Daisy Duke. I like Daisy Duke's last 6, 7 races. A little disappointing. I understand at short prices. But I think starter allowances up at Saratoga are tough, right? I mean, I think they can play like grade 3 sometimes because people want to win there so badly. I think Daisy Duke's performances actually look a little bit better than they are on paper. And Ron Moquette this is not an offensive. This is not to be offensive, but like, he just doesn't win at Saratoga. His numbers up there are not very good. So, and then the 4 I wanted to have in the mix as well, who was close up to a race that I thought fell apart. And when you're up close to a race that falls apart, you get a little upgrade from me. So 1, 3, 4 is what I need to get paid here.
Yeah, I have Atara in the mix. It's interesting. Linda Rice has not had a runner at Keeneland in the last 5 years. But, I mean, I'm not going to exactly hold that against this horse. It just was something I found to be notable and interesting. It's not easy to move one up off Will Walden, but we've seen, as you point out, Linda Rice move horses up off Hall of Famers So I did want in the mix after closing well into those blue fractions and getting the good draw. But I put Kentucky Smoke Show on top in here, JK. Coming out of that race, attending a fast pace, I just thought could get a good trip and be suited by the slight turn back. I was thinking of this from a contest point of view as much as anything, and just a horse that I thought could be a really pleasing price. I have no issue with the 3 and 4 that you mentioned either, and would not mind having backup lines on either or both of them when it comes to horizontals. But Kentucky Smoke Show, one that I wanted to throw in there. Is that one you can see if you squint? He's squinting if you're listening.
Oh yeah, sorry. A little bit, I see it. Yeah, and I'm not offended by the selection. Sometimes, yeah, I mean, I think that's the best way to, sometimes people will say horses in it. It makes me angry at them.
Yes.
Not that one.
Not that one. That's good. That's never me, I hope. Never me, I hope.
Never you. Never you.
All right. So Keeneland contest this weekend. Make sure you get involved in that. Keeneland.com for the details. In the Money Horseplayers Tour over at horseplayers.com. We know you contest players out there. You're multi-tablers. You'll be getting after all of it and any of it. And we want to see you on the leaderboard. Really appreciate folks sticking with us this year for the In the Money Horseplayers Tour, which has been a wild success. And we got one more next week. We'll do another. I guess it won't be. Is Keeland? Ask the question I don't know the answer to. There is Keeland next Friday, isn't there? Do you know off the top of your head? But
yeah,
we'll have a show.
Jim never runs the contest like closing weekend.
Yeah,
so I would imagine there's
of course. Yeah, just a brain freeze there. So we will have one more show with Keeland. That'll be the final table. I'm gonna try to get the final table list together for fun little pre-show 5-minute interviews. We'll have that in the feed next week. One more opportunity to qualify for the BCBC as well, with that money going to charity. And then pretty soon, before you know it, we're gonna be out there at the Breeders' Cup. That's all the time we have on this show. Thanks so much to JK. Thanks to our friends and partners at Keeneland. Thanks to our friends and partners at the Breeders' Cup and horseplayers.com. May you win all your photos.